Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, we're back. And today we have a very special guest. We've got Steve Vansak from Region Weddings.
Steve. Region Weddings, yes. Not named after me. I feel like I'm on a late night talk show here. Are the Roots here?
Yes, right. I've got like the whole band ready to go.
And... Yeah, that would be nice. That's the next step.
Yes.
But we're at it's like 2:00 in the afternoon, so I know musicians don't get up this early.
That's true. That's true.
You know.
And so, Steve, you're a wedding photographer, but you also do some other things too. What are you kind of involved in?
Oh yeah, wedding photography now for 15 years. Yeah, crazy. And now I'm doing hybrid wedding video, but I'm not a videographer. We can jump into that in a little bit. And as we were just talking about, I do gear reviews of camera gears for ShotKit.
Oh, okay.
.com. If you type my name in there, you'll see me waxing poetic about lenses and cameras and all kinds of other accessories, lighting, things like that.
So would you consider yourself kind of like a techie guy?
Oh yeah. I'm into that stuff. I have an electric bike.
Oh, nice.
I'm fascinated with that looks like a gas guzzling 1970s motorcycle, and I'm looking at maybe an electric car next year. So
very cool.
And I'm fascinated by all the tech and
Love that. And you're a musician as well, right? You play, perform, and
that's where I came from. It led to photography in a very strange way, and I was coming out of high school. I was a working musician in high school, when I was 17 years old. So I guess you could say I'm ambitious, My buddy and I, it wasn't good enough to play in the garage, we wanted to perform. So we answered an ad to people who were of age of performing, and we were not. And we were like rock and roll guys with our guitars, and they were a country band looking for a bass player and a drummer. And we said, yeah, we can do that, and auditioned, and for some miracle, they liked us enough to bring us in. And so, I was playing music to 2:00 in the morning and coming back to school the next day and going to class. So I was pretty dedicated to that. And I did that for a long time, and somehow it eventually led to photography, which I can or cannot get into for you.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear kind of that process of from live music performance to getting behind the lens and starting to capture some of those events.
I would not have been a good photography business owner in my. Obviously in my late teens, I wouldn't be, but, like getting into my 20s where I played music and I had a day job working Monday through Thursday. So I learned dedication through that, though, because, my parents, were around and they would give me a kick. You got to have a solid job. I don't know about this music thing. And of course I said, no, you're wrong. Music is everything. And they were right, but no, music is a great thing, and I don't want to discourage anyone from ever doing that, but I was 100% about it. And somehow I lucked out into Monday through Thursday type of job, and I was able to play on the weekends. And being in your early 20s, you play in the weekdays too, because nothing matters.
Yeah.
Then I went on and ended up at like a sort of a factory-esque day job. Again, Monday through Thursday, somehow, some way. And then I kept playing music. And then the next thing you know, you wake up and you're 30 years old. And then how come my friends aren't coming out? Because you're so focused on that. And I realized, oh, wow, they have wives and kids and things like that. And here I was just so focused on that. And you you're playing the local areas, and you want to continue to make a living. You're looking at your day job, and you're thinking, this type of job that I had was going to be going away. And I said, but I want to be creative too, but yet, have a job and bring value to people. Music has like, the best music touches you emotionally, whether it can make you happy, sad, angry, all those are valid emotions, and, but what could I do to do that? And then, I navigated towards photos and photography, and then realizing that wedding photography does that as well. And I just started doing family photos for people and things like that. And then this guy, this woman, her husband had owned a car shop, and they put up their family photos up on the wall. And this guy walked in there one day, liked them, got my number, called me and said, hey, I want you to photograph my daughter's wedding. And I immediately turned it down because I had never done one before, and I shouldn't have been doing one. And he kept talking to me, and then he said, you sound familiar. And I told him who I was, and he said, I hired you in my second band. It was when I was still pretty young and underage, and a certain gentleman in Lake Station in a dark basement took care of all that, and suddenly I was okay to play all these places, which I won't dive into. But so there, he said, you were always on time, because the reason why it's called Region Weddings is because if you had Googled me at the time, it'd be music.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't, no one's going to expect a musician to show up on time to their wedding, right? I can't name it after me, even though I would have, and so he said, no, you were always there. You were on time. It's like, it's next August. This is like December 2007. The first wedding I shot was August 2008. And he's like, you're doing my daughter's wedding. That's it. So I went and did it. And I studied. I went crazy. I mean, I went into it. I brought my girlfriend along. She's going to assist me. And, I was pretty naive about it, and it was exhausting. It wasn't what I expected, but I got the job done. It wasn't creative at the time, but I got the job done for them, and that's how I started out. And I wouldn't advise it to people.
That's not the way to go about it.
No, I just went into the fire, but he was very insistent. But I'm very grateful to him because he got it going, and then I caught the bug, and I ended up loving it, and it went from there.
I love that story that you pursued one passion of music and performing, and through that you found another passion of capturing people's weddings and photography, and now you're doing tech reviews and all of it. So
right. Yeah. And the thing about it, to be honest with you, when I first got into wedding photography, you get a little bit of that musicianship like when you have at the beginning, which is like, how fast can I play the guitar? How well can I sing? And I'm going to throw out this lick out here that's going to impress people.
Yes, yeah.
When you're a musician at the beginning, that's how you are. And as a photographer, you can get that way too, where you're like, I'm going to do these creative shots. I'm going to drag them all over the place and do all this. And then when they review the photos, and then they're like, oh yeah, that stuff's great. We loved it. But that photo that you took of that older person that was off in the corner just laughing with somebody, maybe during cocktail hour or whatever, they passed away a few months ago. And then when you start hearing that kind of stuff, then it hits right here, and you're like, oh, yeah, it's not just about that, and the same thing with music, if you were writing music or performing or whatever, you can touch the emotional button in that way. And then I realized, oh wow, I can do that here too. This is fulfilling, just like music is.
Yes.
So that was like the combination of how I
love that.
Yeah.
A similar thing with DJs. When I first got into it, I was like, I want to be the best mix artist I want to mix these songs.
Yeah.
I'm going to mash them up. They're going to be blown away at how good I am at mixing music. And I focused so much on that. And then through that process, I learned, oh, these are people. And this is a process that like you get to be a part of this huge day in people's lives. And you're this integral role at throwing this amazing party that they're going to have those memories for years to come of the time, the fun they had on that day because of the music you did, the way you presented yourself, the stress you took off them, all that, all those elements. I became more passionate about that than I was so excited at the beginning about, the tech part of this and the details, and I want to be cool and I want to be the best guy at this. And then I'm like, this is actually really cool. I get to be myself. I get to encourage people and give them confidence and help them celebrate and have fun. And when I first met you, it was through kind of weddings. And I was immediately struck by just how you presented yourself, very professional, but very friendly. And your work, like you said, I would say candid. So you're really good at capturing those moments that maybe somebody wasn't watching or somebody wasn't just boom, like you've got it. And like you said, they'll have that forever.
Yeah. The clients, credit to them, taught me that. I have a little office in my home, and these days we have Zoom and things like that. But I do encourage people, hey, you should come into my office. If Zoom's okay too, we'll do that. But, I would do a lot of viewings after the weddings, and they kind of taught me that, and then I started looking around and I was like, yeah, I do album designs and things like that. And, they were putting some of my creative portraits in there and the things that I worked hard on them, off-camera lighting and various things that I do, prisming and all that other kind of stuff. But, then they would put these simple shots in there. And then I kind of realized, that all this stuff's important. You have to do all of that. Sometimes clients ask me, what style are you? And I'm not trolling them when I say this, but I say wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you have to do all the things, which is you need to do those creative portraits. It's one of the things that's kind of getting them in the doors. They're like, oh, I like this. This is cool. It's something, my friend from college with the camera can't do or whatever, And, but you have to get those candid moments of those people being themselves. You have to present the client themselves and their guests and their family back to them as they know them. So you have to do that. And then when you have the family groups, you're going to have to be a pose photographer at that moment.
Yeah.
That's not a dirty word. It's kind of been like a weird thing where people are like, oh, I think what clients say when they say they don't want to be posed is they don't want to be stiff. And
I want to be me.
Yeah. But you got to group people together and make sure they belong together. And
yeah, there are rules. You can't, if everyone's not in the shot, you can't.
Yeah. And I'm not crazy with the rules. And we're limited on time. So we can't do, what some of my studio friends might do, where they might do one family portrait for an hour, like a large group. I need to get that family portrait done in a minute and a half, or the priest or whomever, is going to that happened this last weekend. They ran a vacuum cleaner over my toes.
Oh no.
I think that was a signal to the photographer needs to stop taking pictures and get out. Right. But we were pretty much there because you gain that experience over time. But anyway, back to the style and stuff, so you need to do all of those things. So, I'm definitely not trolling people when I tell them that,
That's my style.
But I think it's important for them to know, so they don't get too caught up into, I'm going to get one thing, or, inexperienced photographers I was at before deserve the gig as well. That is one benefit that you get from experience.
Yeah, and from that experience,
you learn that over time.
You do this all the time, and there's gotta be, at least I've noticed, there's like trends and there's factors that the best weddings have these couple factors involved. From the photography perspective, do you have some things that like, yes, this, 4 or 5 things, and boom, it's gonna be a good good wedding or a good shoot?
Yeah, as long as we're educating each other, we're probably going to be fine. And very often myself and the clients, we're good. Sometimes outside factors come in where, I was just going over a wedding that's coming up here. The client, we had already had the timeline, and then she threw in her own timeline. And I was like, wow, where did this come from? I was looking over it. It was going right along what we had planned. And then I saw a receiving line after the church. Now, I don't want to tell people how to do things. It's not my place. But it is my place to point out to them that, well, we're going to be leaving for the reception and pictures like right after. And it's like within an hour, you're going to be with your guest again, and you're in a church that's probably going to have, a Catholic church, they're probably going to have confession at 4:00, and your cocktail hour is starting at 5. We're going to need to be out by then. And she's like, oh, you're absolutely right. But an outside, person, it was a relative said, no, you got to greet your guest. You have to do this.
You have to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, that I think it's great for you to greet your guests. I don't want to take you away from your guests, but maybe it was a better time to not do it right there at the church, because what was very important to them is getting their family groups in the church and their wedding party in themselves. And, I don't want the vacuum cleaner to come at me again, it's that type of thing. So if you're unwilling to, or don't know about these things, a client's date, literally like that can go off course. So as long as we're, the client is willing to do that and work on it, then there's really, I don't have too many issues. Some weddings have their timeline constrictions. Things happen, but you just have to know how to. You have to get it done no matter what.
Yep, that's the professional part of it.
Yeah.
But we call it's not going to go the way you think. Where I know somebody said that you need to do this, and maybe you think you need to do this, and I love that idea. I understand what you're going for. You want to greet your guests. You want to connect with the people who come to celebrate and watch you get married. But there's time limitations, and you're going to have an opportunity later once you get to the venue. The space is done, the marriage is, the ceremony's done, and they're going to need the space again soon. And then, there's going to be time during cocktail hour and beyond. And we have time, we need to do that now to get the shots in. And so there's kind of teachable moments with couples that want to have that conversation or interested in doing that. And that's kind of why we've started the podcast, is to try to get some of those messages through where we can educate and help couples have the best day possible.
I have a pledge as well. It's an unofficial pledge. I don't have any insignias that I have any. No one has to raise their hand or anything on this. But over time, I would meet with people who, wedding couples, and they were previously in the wedding parties. And what they told me, again, them educating me, is that, we saw our friends' photos and they were great, but I feel like we were taking pictures all day and all night and didn't get to enjoy the wedding, and I don't think they did either. And I feel pretty strongly about that, I don't want to be, I just decided a long time ago that I do not want to be the person that's the obstacle from that. The goal is give them the fantastic photos, but let them enjoy their day.
Yeah.
Make it feel as though even the times that they were doing the photos, that it wasn't a chore as well. You get what you give. In with what I do. And if you're a stone wall, and you're just go to the left, go to the right. If you're that person, you're going to get some, and so I don't want to be the star of the show or, but bringing it back to music again, I did learn from doing that I almost get into performance mode.
Yeah.
When I'm with people, not to entertain them or play the jokester or whatever and tell lame jokes, but just to get them to be a part of, that we're all grouped here together as a team through the day. That's why I kind of like getting ready. I like doing the getting ready photos because I get to know all the people there, the bridesmaids and people like that, and then they feel a little more comfortable with me, as well. And then we can move things along, and then they just have that impression that we did photos, huh? Oh, okay, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
When people don't realize that they've gotten all this done, and I feel like I've done my job, that they've enjoyed their day and they got these hopefully stunning images.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? That's what we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
It is a balancing act where it's, yes, we want to capture and these memories, we want to give you those memories forever. This is the day you got married and all your loved ones are here. We want to get photos of everybody here. And we would love to get them at their most essence of who they are in that moment, happy, whatever, romantic, whatever, in love. But we also need to focus on having a good time, enjoying the day too. It's like you want to capture the memories and you have to create them at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really a balancing act between, the DJ performance aspect and the photography and videography aspect is you guys are dedicated to like remembering, capturing the day. And we're dedicated to like making sure the day goes smoothly. People enjoy themselves, are having fun. And it's so fun because sometimes those can be kind of at odds. They don't have to be, and they shouldn't be.
No.
And they should be kind of a team aspect where, you don't want people, well, we took a lot of photos, but you also don't want people like, we danced and danced, but no, we didn't get any photos. We didn't get any special moments. I didn't get a photo with grandma that I wanted to get. I didn't get a photo, there's that balancing where you need both if you really want to have a great, an amazing day. Do you have advice for couples, either looking to book a photographer or if they've already booked a photographer, about ways to make the most of that experience or things to look for or things to avoid when you're shopping around?
Yeah, as far as if they haven't hired a photographer yet, the portfolio, bringing it back to music again, is the greatest hits album, right? Those are the singles. That's the playlist. The playlist that's floating around on all the music platforms, but you want to dig deeper. You want to see what the deep cuts are like. So you need to ask to see an entire wedding from start to finish.
Oh, okay.
That's a biggie.
Whole album. Just like show me everything. This is if you're shopping around, ask the photographer.
Yeah, if it's not physical, then at least, we have online galleries, most of us use these services where you have to pay to have the images on there, but we usually keep a few galleries around because we know we need to show people, I have barn weddings and church weddings and all those different types of places all ready to go for people to see from start to finish the whole thing, and that's a big key, as far as, if you're looking for quality and things like that. And then you definitely have to meet with someone. And I think websites are kind of key. Like I have a blog, and I always tell people, have you looked at my blog? Because I think it's kind of a big deal, because even though I did my first wedding in 2008, I didn't christen myself Region Weddings until 2010. And I started the website and I started blogging. And I have blogs going all the way back to 2010, right? Don't go to 2010 and look at my work.
Don't start there.
Don't start there.
Work your way back.
Work your way back. But, the point being, they can look and see all these posts back, and I mean, you get Instagram and everything like that, but like blog posts is going to show more, And so dig into that kind of stuff. And you know, just and one of the things, and you know, I want to be careful on how I say this, but like I'm Region Weddings, right? And I told you earlier, the reason why I named it that was because when people did their searches, if it were my name, photography, Steve Vansak, at that time at least, it would have brought up tons of music stuff. And I think it would have been confusing. So I named it Region Weddings, which was a pro and a con. The con being that a lot of times people contact me and they think I'm an agency because they haven't dug into the website enough. If you dig into it, you'll see, oh, it's this guy. You know, it's his wedding photography business. And so dig into the websites, find out who you're getting, you know. And, you know, but sometimes people don't look, or maybe they see a couple photos and they get excited and they hit the contact form and say, we would like one of your photographers to come on, you know, and this and that. And that's, you know, not what I do. You know, it's very personalized, you know, so better or worse, you got me, you know, on the day, you know. But at least when you look at all those blog posts and I show you that wedding from start to finish, and you look at the portfolio, you know that that's what you're going to get.
That's the quality you're going to get. Yeah.
You know, so definitely look into that. And I'm not the only game in town. I recommend other photographers all the time, you know, but they all have that aspect where they're going to be willing to show you more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just kind of, I personally feel that independence in what we do are kind of the way to go.
Yeah.
You know, in the photography and video space, you know, because you know what you're getting.
Yeah. You can really guarantee the quality of the art.
Yeah.
We run into that all the time as a multi-op that is like, I am a DJ and I'm of course playing other people's art, but I'm doing it in my own artistic way that I know works from experience. And I'm always adjusting that to better fit the couple and better fit the guest dance that night, in the moment, on the fly. But I really spend time to get to know the couples, what they like, what they don't like. So when I'm making that decisions, I'm more informed about where to take this, you know. But all the time, it's where, well, we want you, but you know, I'm already booked, and we have this other DJ who's really good, but it's not me. It's a different DJ. He's a little bit different experience. He comes from a different music background. He has different experiences at weddings, and so he's going to mix perhaps the same songs, but maybe the same way or the same order. And he's going to have a totally different view and observation about the best way to run this dance floor. And so that is hard to do as a multi-op. How do I duplicate? How do I replicate myself? And I run into that all the time. And I find that it's the best and easiest to just, you're going to get me. It's going to be me. And I can guarantee the quality if it's me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of it's you, yourself, I've worked with Chris. I think I'm working with Chris next month.
Yeah.
Coming up, and you know, and others in the area. I walk in and I'm like, oh, and I have people fill out a vendor sheet. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I get busy, I forget, or I think, you know, you guys are at the one next Friday, and you're at this one or whatever, you know. But either way, when I get there, like, and it goes throughout the day. You know, I walk in, and it's not like they're, you know, like if I don't know them, they're not good.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the case, but I've been doing it for a while. So it gives me comfort. Like when I walk in and, you know, getting ready, I'm like, oh, I know these makeup artists. I know these hairstylists. They know weddings, you know, and, you know, the thing that couples don't realize sometimes is that, you know, I get my hair cut at a salon. They don't really do weddings, you know. Hopefully, you know, I think she does a good job on my hair, you know, or whatever, you know. But that doesn't mean necessarily that she can't do a wedding, but it doesn't mean that hairstylist or that makeup artist that you have in the morning is going to realize how weddings work, where the ones that we know quite well do. And I don't have to, you know, worry about anything, you know, because sometimes they, you know, like I hear a lot of like the regular makeup artists that we have, to give you an example, they'll get the bride ready second before last or somewhere in the middle, you know, where people who are a little more inexperienced, they'll be like, oh, you're going to go last, you're special. And it's like, no, you don't need to go last because, you know, and then I explain to my clients, you know, we're going to want your mom ready too, right? You know, we're going to, yeah, you know, okay. So you and your mom have to be ready. And then we're going to do these photos and these moments, and you guys get together, and that often gets emotional, and I want to capture that. You know, we don't want it to make it, oh, zip, gone, you know, we got to run, you know. So let's not have you do that. And then, you know, it's not my call. But
change the order a little bit. Give yourself more time to really capture those photos, immerse yourself in that moment, so I can get a really good set of.
Yeah, you know, and then a vendor who works in weddings a lot is going to know that, and that's going to sort of come naturally, you know. And then when it comes to later in the night, you know, the same, you know, I'm sure you know, Mike, you know, sometimes, you know, I'll go in and there's an outfit there. People, you know, there's people with cameras, and then there's photographers, right?
Yes.
There's DJs and MCs. And there's people with speakers.
Yes.
Right. And then often the people with speakers, you know, I come in and, you know, I'm going to be there to capture it anyway, but give me a little heads up. You know, how are they doing things? We walking in at this time, we doing that? I don't know. You know, and it's like, you tell me, you know, and like, well, I'm here to turn it over to you now. You know, I'm not the captain for this dance party that we're having. And I see that sometimes, and then sometimes I have to do it. You know, I've literally had to take the mic and announce the first dance. I've had to do that a couple of times because the person's like, I don't speak on a microphone. You know, I just play music. You know, and you know that's happened a few times, and you know, I'll do it. I have experience at it, right? You know, but that's an important thing to remember. You know, people who are working clubs and stuff like that, you know, they're great at what they do. Yeah. You know, but maybe
they're not specialized. Yeah.
You know, specialization. You know, so they have to be careful with that. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying never do it. You know, but you know. That's the type of thing, advice that I would give. It has nothing to do with photography, but, you know, in a way it does, because like you said, we all work together, you know, to do our music thing. Again, we have to work in concert together.
Yes. It's a really wild industry we work in, because it's kind of a one-day thing. And we've been assembled by the couple and the venue and different people who've recommended us. We're almost like a fantasy team that they've drafted us all. You guys got to play together to win. And some of those people are rookies and they've never been on the field before. They're not tested. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know the plays. And some people are veterans and they really know how this works. And they're literally ready to jump in any position if they need to make an announcement. We had Natalie Honaki from she's like, ready to go if I need to marry a couple, even though that's not my job, you know?
Wow, I didn't know that. I will have to tease her about that.
Isn't that so funny? But I'm the same way. Like there's just, when you do this enough, you recognize there's a lot of moving parts. And it's the best when you show up and you're working with people who know the game, know how it's played, and know how to win together by working together. Versus you show up and I don't know if they know what they're doing or not, if it's their first or their whatever, and I've never worked with them before, and they may have a totally different timeline than me, and we got to sync that up. And do they even want to sync it? There's that whole wild element to it, and they want to take sunset photos, and I gotta get the first dances started, and there's all these we're all supposed to be on the same team, but sometimes it's like you said, people show up and they may not be specialized, they may not have the experience to know what it takes to be on that team. And so it's always reassuring when you're working with people and teams like, okay, yeah, they do this, they know.
Yeah. Hopefully when you've worked with me throughout the years, you've noticed I deliver them up.
Yes.
Here they are.
Ready to go.
They're all yours, So because I don't want to be doing that aspect of the night. I want the person who's the better expert at it than me, to go ahead and do it, and so, at the same time, I'm not one of those people that's like, no one new can enter this industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you got, never, never push down, I think is a pretty good mantra in
That's
anything,
great.
So, so I don't mean to come across that.
Oh, not at all.
So,
I agree with that sentiment, and it's a very real thing because it's a one-day event and there's a lot of pressure on it and a lot of money, honestly, invested in it. You want it to be as successful as possible, and there's so many elements that are out of your control as a professional, and some of that is the other professionals that have been hired to work, and hopefully they are professionals.
right. Right.
That's part of the element. But yeah, of course, I kind of have that aspect of too, where I want to inspire, I want to educate, I want to lead, I want to help people. This is the way to do this, rather than, you're not doing this wrong. You're not professional. You want to build people up.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the pleasing people racket. No, we're there to please our clients, but sometimes pleasing the clients is, I'm not afraid to give a little tough love.
Yeah.
Where I will tell the client, doing this is probably not the best for you for these reasons, but at the same time, I'm willing to say, hey, give me a minute here to rack my brain to see if we can do that and do this, to make it work for you. And over time, you come up with solutions for people because you've seen it happen before. And like I said, my clients educate me a lot of times too. For instance, table shots. I don't know if when I first started, table shots. If anyone watching this doesn't know what they are, is basically you go around to every table and take photographs at the table, and it's kind of an old school thing. Like way back before I even did this, photography as a wedding photographer, they did it before, in the film era and stuff, and it very much went away because in the era of cell phones, people are always missing, they're distracted, they're off different places and things like that. And then, sometimes posing people in front of plates of food doesn't look that attractive and things like that. So I hadn't done it for years. And then I think it was like last year, a client wanted it. And I was like, whoa, really? And she's like, yeah, but we want to do this thing where we're going to play Jake Owl's band, I think, Freeze Frame. And there's other songs they played. And they're like, we're going to make it a game. We're going to get it done. We're going to capture everybody. And it's going to look messy, but it's just going to be like a fun boom, boom, boom. We're going to go around and get it done. And I was like, I was cautious about it. And then when we did it, it was fun for them. It was fun for me. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing table shots now. I'm a 1995 photographer. But, but it worked out okay. So they kind of taught me that it was okay to do that, So now I've had a few other clients bring it up and I'm like, hey, the way to do it. And then I basically copied my client's idea wherever they got it from, or maybe they came up with it on their own. And I'm like, it's more fun if you do it this way. And it's more fun if you do it right at the introductions, because then everyone's there. Yeah. And our wonderful DJs that we have aren't going to be upset with us when I'm going around doing
their
pictures.
dance floors. And yeah.
Right. I'm not killing the dance floor, So, yeah.
And the seasoned DJs know that that's helping the dance floor, because I love doing those because it builds the energy.
Yeah.
People are, this is the place to be now. This is exciting. We're a part of the celebration. It kind of reminds them subtly, but obviously by their movement that, oh yeah, we're here. We're celebrating. We're part of this. And posing for a photo makes you feel a part of it. And having it be like a race, having it be quick, it makes it fun. You try to beat the song. We've done the Mission Impossible.
Right. Yeah.
Freeze frame, those different ones. Yeah, we've done different. People love that, and you get the shots, and they may not be the best, like you said.
Aesthetically,
so,
sure, yeah.
Someone may move, they may not focus, right?
Yeah, that happens, and people are doing all kinds. They're not. Back when they did them before, they were trying to make them proper.
Yes, yeah.
Pose. And I think that's was like why they fell out of fashion, because myself and the clients, that I had in their, when I first started doing weddings, we're both on the same page of neither one of us wanted it. Sometimes some parents wanted it, and we were like, well, I don't want to do that, And but now, we realize it for what it is.
Yeah.
So
I can
now
see how
I
that
don't
could take
have
a lot
that
of
stigma like I used to about it.
I can see how that could take a lot of time too.
Yeah.
To really do it right,
Right.
get a really good photo of everybody. That's a lot of groups.
yeah. If you needed to pose them and do that, that would literally kill a reception. And you guys would have an easy night, but you probably wouldn't be your social media account wouldn't look too great as you scan the room with your phone.
Everybody looks like they just came from a funeral.
And then there's the back of my head posing people around a plate of pasta. So
what are some of the crazy or wild things you've experienced working in the industry? Anything comes to mind?
Yeah. When you do your first wedding in 2008. Now I didn't go full time until like late 2012 or whatever. I was cautious about it, but it did take off. Like boom. I was like, wow, I think this could be a job. I mean, it was a good feeling at the time. It was like, so yeah, I've seen a lot of things happen. I'll tell this story because, this is not knocking clients. This is just some unfortunate things that happen, but some lessons about what we just talked about, and vendors are in there too. I did this wedding, and I had done the wedding with one of the bridesmaids. She recommended me, which is always great. So I get in there and we're doing the getting ready, and everything's going great. And then I happen to notice the bride's phone was ringing a lot. It just kept ringing. Like, who's bothering her on this day? And so finally somebody said, yeah, maybe you should pick that up. Maybe it's something important, And it was a call, I believe, from the groom. And this was like close to like 98, 99 degree summer day. And the limo broke down. Luckily, 2 blocks from the venue, but it also arrived with no air conditioning.
Oh my gosh.
So they probably didn't put their suit jackets on, but still, it's pretty hot
Yeah.
in this limo. And so first person, is it's not just a car that goes from A to B that you're paying for. You're also paying for the upkeep of that vehicle, the company that that hopefully cares about you, and then the person that they're putting in that car. So that would be my first little lesson there. Is I understand these things cost. I get it. I'm not. I don't live in a mansion. But transportation is important. So that happened. So they had to walk 2 blocks in the hot sun to get to the venue. But this also meant that no one was coming to pick up the bride. Right. And this is a large wedding party. So, a whole bunch of friends and family, and, we got to get to the ceremony now, and we don't need it to be late because it's a later ceremony, late afternoon, and we got to do the photos afterwards. It wasn't a first look involved. And so there was going to be a little bit of rush to it. So a bunch of cars, they all arrived in different vehicles from random people or whatever. And then I also, you'll enjoy this, Mike, another vendor lesson. I happened to be, coming through the parking lot with my gear, and I saw the DJ walking in and staggering a bit.
Oh no.
And didn't look like he was doing well.
Oh no.
And we just thought that was odd. And it was at Halls of St. George. I'm sure you've been there.
Yes.
And they have the big stage, and I got my gear in there, and I put it in the back, and I noticed there was this girl, and she was like slumped against the wall, like definitely, we'll just call it sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. And I kind of looked, and I walked over to her and was hoping that, she was still breathing, and she was. And I was like, well, I got a job to do. I don't know who this random person is. Well, she was there with the DJ. And so I left, and the ceremony's happening, and they're literally coming down the aisle, and, I noticed out of the corner of my eye, that same guy, the DJ's running through the parking lot again, carrying a speaker. And they're walking out, there's no music going. And he's like cutting in front. There's a large wedding party and they're all coming out singles. He's like cutting in front of them with speakers and hooking it up. And of course, there's feedback, cables and stuff, and all that's going on. And so it took away from the ambiance of the scene. The company shall remain nameless.
Sure.
Because I can't blame them. I can, but they're still in business, but they.
You didn't come here to do that. You're sharing this wild thing that happened.
So, that happened, and we did the family photos on site, and then we all went off in this gigantic wedding party. Had no limo now to get to where we were going, so a whole cavalcade of cars was going off site for photos. We did those photos. We came back, and before the ceremony, there was a commotion at a table, or not before the ceremony, but before like the intros and everything like that. There was a commotion at a table during cocktail hour, and the ambulance arrives, and nobody was hurt, but they took grandma out, who maybe it was the heat or whatever. So that was unfortunate. So an ambulance arrived, ambulance number 1 of 3. So that's how the story's going to get a little more wild as we go along, because that was ambulance number 1.
All the same wedding.
It's all the same wedding.
Oh my gosh.
And then this is one of my famous stories. I guess I have other little ones, but this is a long one. Sorry.
This is good. No.
And so then I noticed that the DJ was suddenly alive, like really really moving fast suddenly, and the girl in the corner was moving too, but she was still like laying down, and she was like shaking around, and something was going on in their bloodstream, and that was odd. And so then, like, I don't know. It was like Cuban music started playing, and it was first dance time. And I was like, this is an odd choice for first dance. And my bride and her dad were just kind of looking up, and the guy had the headphones on, and he was rocking out to this Cuban music. His girlfriend got up, and she started doing circle dances up on the stage that they have there. And the whole place is just looking at them, and they're in their own world. This is a true story.
Throwing a great party.
Yeah, it was
for 2.
A great party for them, not so much for everybody else.
Oh my goodness.
And finally, somebody got up there and said, "Hey, wake up!" And all the usual noises, and then some slow song plays. It's not the correct one. They look up at him, and then they're just like, forget it. We're just going to dance to this. At least we got a slow song to dance with my dad. So they dance. And then night goes on, and there's a lot of oddities. The sound is off, things like that. And we're doing a ring shot, and I had an assistant with me, and she had gotten the rings and placed them real nice. So we're doing this ring shot, and this commotion breaks out in the back of the room. And like the whole room's like gone, and they're all over to the front. And then I said to my assistant, "You stay here with these rings. I'm going to find out what's going on." I walk over there, and the brother of the bride is having an epileptic fit because they were playing like they had rave style lighting.
Oh, okay, like strobing kind of.
Strobing really fast, like
wow,
more than normal, and that set him off.
Oh my goodness!
So this is all other than the grandma, which. Who knows? Maybe the DJ had something to do with that, Mike. I don't know. But other than the grandma, all this chaos is caused from this one individual. Wow. So ambulance number 2 comes, and they take him out. So that kind of brings the party down, and then we almost had a screw up because my assistant. Curiosity got the best of her because this is going on for a while. She came by my side. She's like, what's going on? And I said, oh, let's back off. This person's having a fit, you know. I said, hey, you have those rings? And she's like, oh yeah, you know, I left them back there. But I like, no, we never do that. We have to go. And they were there and everything, you know, and gave them back. And I felt sorry for them, you know, because people were kind of like talking a lot about what was going on and weren't hitting the dance floor. So, you know, because the DJ kept going and they calmed him down. They also had the cops called on him. Somebody just had enough. And so people weren't dancing. So I told their friends, go out there, get around them, and I'm going to shoot tighter than I usually would. And these photos are going to make it look like they had
Great time, great dance party, yeah.
So, you know, you got to pivot and do something, you know. I felt bad, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're laughing about this now, and they do as well,
Yeah.
you know. And then so the cops come, and then the girlfriend of the DJ started having fits of her own that maybe were chemical related.
Sure, not.
And then happens number 3 comes.
Oh
to take
my
her
God.
off. And you know, I don't stay until the end, you know. So I don't know if there was any evidence.
Maybe a 4 or 5 as well.
Yeah, hopefully not. I don't think so. But
That's so crazy.
and then so after the wedding, they had an album. So in all fairness, I had one screw up. They came to me and they said, "You're the only thing that went right at our wedding." All right, so you know, I'm feeling pretty good right now. And then I hand them over their album, and I put the incorrect wedding date
Oh no.
inscripted on the album. So I was just like, oh my God, what did I just do? So take your album home, you know.
Reprint it, we'll fix
You know,
it.
yeah, of course, you know, I took care of it and stuff. So as I tell this story, you know, I got a cop to that, you know. But a mistake, you know, is different than.
Yes, that's some of those things. That's so
Yeah.
wild. What a crazy day.
So is that crazy enough for you?
That is one of the wildest stories I've ever heard. That's up there. That's just so like, one of those things can sometimes happen at a wedding. You know, like there's usually something like that. Someone's running late, or someone, you know, shows up late, or something's not working, or that happens. Every wedding, there's 1 or 2 kind of things. That was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows that that grandmother did not become ill. She didn't pass away, nothing like that. It was just, you know, summers are hot and dehydration, and us as vendors, and you know, we have to make sure that. That's why I have my
It can
my
definitely
water
happen
here,
to
you
the
know,
best
so,
of us, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's good. Any suggestions or recommendations for vendors, maybe that DJ or other DJs working with photographers? Anything you wish, you know, I wish you guys did this or didn't do this. This stuff I always ask when I'm working with photographers or planners or all of them. Like, what annoys you about what DJs do? What do you like?
DJs.
How to better work with photographers.
Certain events, a lot of traditional events have been falling by the wayside now. But I just like a solid plan from a DJ that if all these traditional events, like bouquet tosses and things like that, like when are we going to do those, and kind of stick to that commitment, you know? And that's really all I need is, you know, just stick to the commitment so I know. Obviously, you know, I have my radar on all the time. But as a human being, once in a while, especially when I get to the reception, I may use the restroom.
Yes.
On occasion.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you are going to do set events, you know, keep an eye out for me or whatever, you know, those types of things. And, you know, the willingness to, you know, introduce people and to be in charge at that moment. I guess that would be the number one thing, you know, because you'd be surprised as a photographer how people come because they family members and people like that. It's understandable that they're seeing you all day, and you're like taking charge of things, hopefully, and not to run roughshod over anything, but like to make the photo decisions and how to best get things done so everyone's has a great day. So then they sometimes they turn to me during the reception, like, when are we going to do this, and how can we, and it's not that I don't want to work for them, but I don't want to step over the DJ's toes. But usually, a pros, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. But if they're not, or if they're a friend, or there's no quarterback, what play we're running, who's going to have the ball? Right. You have to have somebody deciding when these things are happening. And that makes perfect sense. That's great advice about, go over the timeline and then stick to the timeline. As best you can, as best as in your ability. That's really good advice. Yeah,
your DJ has to be willing to do the, I love doing creative portraits, but I'm ready and willing. I know I'm going to do posed family portraits with grandmothers and people who maybe have disabilities and things like that. And I'm going to have to pause and take my time with them and things like that. And DJs have to be willing to, make an attempt at the pronunciation of people's names, and be willing to be the person to say, we're going to line people up and we need to do it now. And, and sometimes vendors, our clients aren't that fragile.
Yeah.
They want guidance. Believe me, they ask for it all the time. They want guidance, My clients come in and they're like, we don't know what to do. Are you going to tell us what to do? And I'm like, yeah. I'm not going to, make you stiff, overly pose, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to give you guidance and give you direction, and the DJ has to do that as well, in that moment to say, well, you have a cake that's being served. I would suggest before your first dances, at least, that you get that cut.
Yeah.
So, it's not out there,
on the dance floor. When we're trying to dance around it, people knock it over.
Potentially, I've seen that happen, not often, but it has. And yeah, those types of things, we want to be personal, but with everybody, but the clients aren't fragile flowers. They will appreciate, the DJ saying, this is what I think we should do for this reason. Your call.
Yes.
But here's that education that we talked about.
Yeah. I tell my guys that they are hiring you in part for your experience. And so you don't want to keep that to yourself, especially if you know something crucial that could help, advance and improve their day. And so don't keep that to yourself. You don't have to be rude or mean or put their idea down. You said you want this. In my experience, I'm concerned that this is going to happen. I don't want that to happen. Let me give you a couple of ideas how we can make that better. You can get that moment, but maybe there's a better way of doing it. Or let's do cake now, because I'm worried if we leave the cake on the dance floor, my experience, people will knock it over. It'll be in all the photos. People are dancing around it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's always kind of you can have a best and better, and there might be an outcome that you may not are looking for. You're not looking for, and you haven't thought about.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even if the cake is safe, if it is a serving cake, people want to eat.
Yes, that too. Yeah, we can't serve it.
I like cake too. I don't often eat it. Especially during wedding season. I got to be, because I'm not the 22-year-old photographer anymore, right? So I'm, my clients. I always say my clients stay the same age, but for some odd reason, I don't, But they want to eat that cake, and then there's a reason why that dress is white. Bright colors attract attention. You are the center of attention. You're wearing that white dress. Well, that big old white cake on the dance floor is gonna, people, in your photo, if I have a cake on the dance floor, I'm probably gonna go vertical, because I want a focus to be on that white dress, not over on that white cake, and it's got the nice, multicolored frosting over there too. That's keep looking at the cake. I want to focus on my clients. And anyway,
No, I love that.
I'm talking smack.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. And that's why you don't wear white to a wedding. The bride, that's her color for the day.
That's right.
That's her shade. That's her tint.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
As guys, we can barely dress ourselves.
Yeah, right.
Let's be real, but I've heard about the faux pas of their white dress. But,
Well, Steve, this has been an absolute treat. We really appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much. And definitely come back and see us. If couples are looking to book your services and they're looking to work with you, what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
Website, regionweddings.com. Everything is there, and take your time. Look through it. You can even see the goofiest video of a photographer ever with me. It has music clips because, like I told you, Mike, I hid the fact that I was a musician. But now that I'm established at wedding photography, now I'm like, yep, this is me, So there's my About Me video is me in a hoodie, running around on my electric bike, playing guitar, and talking about wedding photography too, and how I got into it and stuff. And hopefully it doesn't scare people off, but it's the real deal,
Yes,
So,
yeah.
But that's the whole thing, whether you're looking at me or any other photographer, dig through their website, look at that blog, see what they're doing, see their recent work, Region, sounds like a commercial now, regionweddings.com. What's it going to take to put you in this vehicle? No. Have a look at the work. If it speaks to you, you love it, contact me. We'll go from there. Yep.
Well, thank you so much. And guys, thank you for listening. This has been the Insider Podcast. I'm Mike with Amplified Events.
Yep. Steve from Region Weddings. I get to say it 5 million times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys at your wedding. Thanks so much.